Chapter 31. Pandavas in Exile. Yudisthir and his family were intercepted on their way back to Indraprastha, and were once again drawn into a game of dice. Yudisthir, driven by Kshatriya honor, was compelled to accept the challenge once more. This time, Duryodhan proposed an exceptionally unusual wager. The losers would endure 13 years of exile. 12 years would be spent in the wilderness, while the 13th year would involve hiding within a city. If discovered during that year, an additional 12 years of exile would be imposed. As the game unfolded, Yudisthir found himself once more on the losing side. The Pandavas prepared themselves for their time in the wilderness. Due to her frailty, Kunti, their mother, remained behind with their uncle Vidura in Hastinapur. Draupadi's 5 children, Subhadra and Abhimanyu, were entrusted to Lord Krishna's care in Dwarka. News of the Pandavas' exile spread to the citizens of Hastinapur and Indraprastha. Many wished to accompany their beloved king into the wilderness, but Yudisthir, humbled by their love, asked them to stay behind and watch over Mother Kunti. Numerous sages accompanied the Pandavas, aiding them in establishing their new home. Amidst the Pandavas, feelings of resentment simmered. Draupadi and Bhim expressed their anger at Yudisthir's unwavering adherence to Kshatriya law and his addiction to gambling. Their current predicament fell squarely on Yudisthir's shoulders. Bhim, at one point during the game of dice, called for fire to burn Yudisthir's hands. Arjuna intervened to pacify his hot-tempered brother. Arjuna displayed an unusual sense of acceptance towards their circumstances. He suspected that Duryodhana's scheme aimed to utilize the 13 years to amass a formidable army for defeating the Pandavas in battle. Arjuna was a warrior prince by birth, and within him a fire for conquest burned. To some degree, he looked forward to the thrill of combat. Nakula and Sahadev remained unwaveringly loyal to their elder brothers, committed to fulfilling their duties, regardless of the challenges. Yudisthir grappled with guilt over their misfortune, plagued by remorse for his actions. As the eldest, he felt responsibility for providing for his family. However, the Pandavas' home frequently welcomed friends, well-wishers, and sages, increasing their responsibilities. In his time of need, sage Vyasa visited Yudisthir and offered guidance. Vyasa advised Yudisthir to seek the blessings of Lord Surya, the sun god, whose radiance nourishes the earth and sustains life. The young king embarked on a rigorous period of austerities. And finally, one day, his efforts bore fruit. Chapter 32. Arjuna's Quest. Following Yudisthir's intense austerities, Surya, the sun god, smiled upon the young king. The sun god presented Yudisthir with a pot which had mystical properties. Give this pot to Draupadi. Any meal the queen prepares in this pot will be inexhaustible for the day, until she takes her own meal. Then the pot will remain empty. The pot's mystical properties would renew the next day with a touch of the sun's rays. Grateful for this gift, Yudisthir returned with the means to feed his family and the many citizens who sought refuge with them. Sage Vyasa alerted Yudisthir to the Kauravas' preparations for a massive army. Arjuna was tasked with embarking on a quest to acquire the divine weapons of Lord Indra, preparing themselves for the impending battle. Arjuna accepted this responsibility, bidding sorrowful farewells before setting forth on his journey, heading north in the direction of the Himalayas. He journeyed for months until encountering a sage immersed in deep meditation. Upon awakening, the sage questioned Arjuna's purpose. "I seek Lord Indra," replied Arjuna. "I am in search of great weapons for the difficult battle that lies ahead." "You have reached the place of sages and saints, Prince Arjuna. There is no need for the tribulations of humanity here. Rest in the pleasures of heaven, said the sage. But Arjuna held fast in his mission. He was to obtain the weapons which would help his family gain victory in the war ahead. The sage revealed himself to be Lord Indra. You are indeed valiant, Prince Arjuna. Continue your journey to Mount Kailash. You will have all of my weapons when you obtain the blessings of Lord Shiva. Arjuna's journey continued, marked by years of unyielding travel and rigorous penance. Despite spending months in deep meditation, he struggled to locate Lord Shiva. One fateful day, while in meditation, Arjuna sensed an aggressive charge from a wild boar. Swiftly responding, he drew his bow and released an arrow, only to find another arrow matching his own, striking the boar simultaneously. From the shadows emerged a mysterious hunter. The boar was my prey, shouted out Arjuna. Who are you to dare to intervene in the kill of a Kshatriya prince? Your skills are no match for me, arrogant prince. Go back to your kingdom, replied the hunter. Arjuna was frustrated and infuriated. A battle of archery skills erupted between the hunter and the prince. As they clashed in a battle of arrows, terror gripped the surrounding inhabitants. Days passed in intense engagement, with Arjuna's frustration mounting and fatigue setting in. Arjuna realized that the hunter's skills rivaled, if not surpassed, his own. Was his journey to end in confronting this, his ultimate adversary? Chapter 33. Shiva's Grace. Arjuna was at his wit's end. Never in his life had he encountered an adversary so skilled. He had traveled far and sacrificed much in search of the weapons that would save his family. Was he now to fall in battle, unfulfilled in his quest? Arjuna broke from the battle and created a lingam with the soil around him. He then gathered flowers to make a garland. He placed the garland on the lingam and prayed to Lord Shiva. When Arjuna opened his eyes, to his surprise, the mysterious hunter stood in front of him with the garland Arjuna had made around his neck. A bright light enveloped the stranger, as Lord Shiva revealed his true form. Arjuna dropped to his knees and humbly folded his hands. My lord, forgive me for my arrogance, said Arjuna. Rise, valiant prince. You have indeed proved yourself worthy. There is no warrior in the earthly realms or the heavens who is your equal, said Lord Shiva. Ask for your boon, young prince, and I will grant it. My lord, if you deem me to be worthy, I wish to possess the mightiest weapon, the Pashupatastra, the celestial missile, replied Arjuna. I grant you this weapon, dear prince, but remember, the Pashupatastra is capable of vanquishing all beings and even destroying creation itself, if used incorrectly. It is only to be deployed in the most dire of circumstances, and never against a lesser foe. Lord Shiva then disappeared. And with a flash of light, Arjuna was then greeted by Lord Indra and other gods, who also blessed him with their divine weapons and knowledge. Arjuna was overjoyed at having achieved his goal. Before you return to your family, dear prince, you must spend time with me in my home, requested Lord Indra. A celestial vehicle arrived and whisked the Prince Arjuna to the heavens. Arjuna was greeted by majestic sights and sounds. A grand celebration welcomed him, with dancers and musicians providing entertainment. Indra taught Arjuna how to wield various weapons, including the thunderbolt. Despite receiving these incredible gifts, Arjuna could not shake his longing for his brothers and his wife Draupadi. Indra insisted that he stay for 5 years in the heavenly realms. At Indra's request, Arjuna also learned the art of dance and music from Chitrasena, the Gandharva. These arts were unknown on earth. Even with all these blessings, Arjuna's heart still yearned to return to his family. However, there was one enchanting woman in the heavenly realms who had captured Arjuna's attention. Urvasi, the Aspara. Chapter 34. Urvasi's Curse. During his stay in Lord Indra's heavenly abode, Arjuna not only mastered all the divine weapons bestowed upon him, but also honed his warrior skills to an unparalleled level, making him unmatched in both earthly and celestial realms. At Lord Indra's request, he even became proficient in the delicate art of dance and music. Among the celestial beings residing in Lord Indra's palace was Urvasi and Aspara. Many meaningful glances were exchanged between Urvasi and the valiant Prince Arjuna. Urvasi, smitten by Arjuna's handsome and virtuous character, couldn't resist her feelings, and one night found her way to his chambers, surprising him. "Prince Arjuna," she implored, "satisfy my desires. Mighty warrior, your virtues have captured my heart, and I am under the spell of the god of love." Arjuna was taken aback and responded, "Blessed lady, please do not speak to me in this way, for you are undoubtedly equal to the wife of a superior. You are to be revered just as my mother Kunti or Saki, the wife of Indra, are to be worshipped. While it's true that I paid attention to you, there was a specific reason for it. I remembered that you were the mother of the Kuru race, having chosen Puru as your husband. O blessed Aspara, you should not harbor any other feelings towards me, for you are my superior, being the mother of my lineage." Urvasi replied, "O son of Indra, Asparas are free to choose their mates. You should not consider me superior in this matter. The sons and grandsons of the Puru race have come here because of their ascetic merit, and have interacted with us without incurring sin. Therefore, do not send me away, O hero, for I am burning with desire." "Indeed, I regard you as a mother," Arjuna honestly stated, "so I bow my head before you and prostrate myself at your feet. You deserve the reverence of a mother, and I beseech you to protect me as a son." However, Arjuna's rejection left Urvasi extremely angry. Trembling with rage, she cursed Arjuna, saying, "I curse you to become impotent and spend your time amongst females as a dancer, scorned as a eunuch." With these words of anger, Urvasi returned to her abode. Upon learning of Arjuna's rejection of Urvasi, Indra embraced his son and consoled him. "Your patience and self-control have even surpassed that of the sages. Do not be troubled by Urvasi's curse. It will serve you well in your final year of exile, when you must live incognito. During that time, you will endure the effects of her curse. But once that year is over, your manhood will be restored." Chapter 35. Hanuman. The Pandava brothers and Draupadi missed Arjuna dearly. They had not heard from him in years and feared the worst. Yudisthir still harbored a deep guilt for their circumstances as a result of his actions. One fateful day, their home received an unexpected visitor, sage Narada. Known for his mystical sight, Narada brought tidings of Arjuna's success in acquiring divine weapons. The family was overjoyed by this news. Narada advised Yudisthir to make the most of the time until Arjuna's return by embarking on a sacred pilgrimage to the divine places of worship. In agreement, Yudisthir and his family set off to travel to various sacred sites. They performed acts of worship and paid their respects at the revered places they visited. One morning, while Draupadi and Bhim sat along the serene banks of a river, Draupadi spotted a beautiful flower drifting downstream. She picked it up and thought, "This would make a splendid garland for Yudisthir, but I need more." She turned to Bhim and asked, "Bhim, could you fetch more of these flowers from up the mountain?" Bhim readily agreed and embarked on his journey to collect the flowers, while Draupadi returned to their dwelling. As Bhim ascended the mountain, he encountered an unusual obstruction in his path. A monkey's tail stretched across his way. Bhim hesitated to leap over the tail, finding it disrespectful. Instead, he struck the ground with his mace to awaken the monkey. The monkey stirred and inquired about Bhim's purpose. Bhim replied, "Your tail blocks my path, dear monkey. Please remove it so that I may continue on my journey." The monkey responded, "I am weary and in need of rest. You may move tail yourself and proceed." Annoyed, Beam reached down to lift the monkey's tail, but to his astonishment, it wouldn't budge. He used both hands and exerted all his immense strength, but still, the tail remained immovable. Beam, who had consumed the Naga potion in his youth, granting him the strength of 10,000 elephants, was baffled by his inability to move a mere monkey's tail. It dawned on him that this was no ordinary monkey. With humility, Beam folded his hands and beseeched the monkey to reveal its true form. In a blinding flash of light, the monkey transformed into Lord Hanuman. Beam dropped to his knees, overwhelmed by the divine presence. Lord Hanuman lifted Beam to his feet and embraced him, saying, "My dear Beam, I've yearned to meet you for a long time. We are spiritual brothers, both blessings of Varuna, the wind god. Forgive my playful teasing." Beam was excited to meet his older brother, and they talked for hours. Lord Hanuman then guided Beam, revealing two distinct paths. "This path leads to heaven. No mortal may pass this way. This is the path you must take. It leads to the flowers you seek. But beware, for these flowers grow in the heavenly garden owned by Lord Kubera. It is guarded by celestial beings, and they will not yield them easily." Chapter 36. Arjuna's Return. Beam, guided by his brother Hanuman, eventually reached the garden of celestial flowers. He quenched his thirst and then began collecting the flowers. "Stop! This is the garden of Lord Kubera. No outsiders are allowed here," a loud voice shouted out. "I am Beam, the son of King Pandu. These flowers are not in Kubera's abode. They have sprung from the breast of the mountain, and they belong to me as much as anyone else." Beam waded in further to collect more flowers. 100 of the celestial guards attacked Beam, and with waves of his mighty mace, Beam smashed them all away. The surviving guards ran back to their master Kubera. When Kubera heard of the incident, the Lord of Wealth smiled. "Let the Pandava prince take as many flowers as he likes." When Beam returned home, he was greeted with a spectacular sight. A celestial vehicle had returned with their beloved brother Arjuna. Arjuna embraced his brothers and Draupadi. He handed many gifts to Draupadi, and the weapons he had collected he handed to his eldest brother Yudisthir. Arjuna enthralled his brothers and Draupadi through the night with tales of his time in Indra's abode. He spoke of the rigorous training he had undertaken and the curse he received from Urvasi, which he would have to endure in their final year of exile. Before leaving the heavenly realms, Lord Indra had one final request. The inhabitants of the flying city of Nivatakavacha had received a boon from Lord Brahma, which made them unconquerable by the demigods. Over the years, they abused this power and wreaked havoc in the heavenly realms. Arjuna was tasked with conquering the city and proving his mettle as a warrior. As Arjuna approached the city, the inhabitants flew out and attacked him in their numbers. They used many demonic illusions and fought with fierce weapons, but he was able to defeat them all with Indra's thunderbolt weapons and the various other divine weapons in his possession. Finally, Arjuna brought down the entire city with a mantra-charged astra, and in doing so, he had succeeded where Lord Indra himself could not. Arjuna's brothers were in awe of his tale and begged to see the weapons in action. Arjuna gladly obliged. He took out his Gandhava bow and commenced to show the weapons in order. When the divine astras had been set, the earth began to tremble and the sun hid itself in the clouds. Suddenly, Sage Narada appeared. "O Arjuna, these weapons should never be discharged when there is no fit object, and when there is a fit object, they should not be released unless so pressed by the opponent. To discharge weapons without occasion is unwise. These weapons, when properly kept, will increase your strength and happiness. but if they are not properly kept, they can destroy the three worlds. Your brothers will behold these weapons soon enough, when you will use them for vanquishing your enemies in battle. Chapter 37. The Humiliation of Duryodhan. News of the austere life led by the Pandavas had reached King Dhritarashtra, and it grieved him to hear of his nephews and their wives' hardships. Despite his determination to see his own son, Duryodhan, ascend to the throne, the Pandavas remained family, being the sons of his brother Pandu. However, when Shakuni heard of the Pandavas' circumstances, his reaction was quite different. He manipulated Duryodhan into embarking on a sporting expedition into the forest, with the intention of camping near the Pandavas and flaunting their extravagant wealth and luxuries. Shakuni aimed to further break the spirit of the Pandavas, and Duryodhan readily embraced this idea. So, accompanied by his dear friend Karna, his many wives, his brothers, and his royal guard, including hundreds of fierce soldiers, Duryodhan set off into the forest. Upon learning of this trip, King Dhritarashtra, in his misguided belief that his son might be attempting to assist his distressed cousins, gave his blessings for the journey. As they journeyed, Duryodhan's group came upon a beautiful lake where he wished to swim with his wives and friends. However, the site was already occupied by soldiers from another kingdom. Duryodhan instructed his royal guard to clear the area so he could have the lake to himself. To their astonishment, the soldiers camped at the lake proved to be formidable adversaries, and when provoked, they retaliated violently. In the ensuing clash, Duryodhan's royal guard was soundly defeated. Even the valiant Karna was forced to retreat. Duryodhan and many of his entourage were taken captive, with only a few of his wives managing to escape and seek refuge in the Pandava camp. When Duryodhan's wives arrived at the Pandava camp, they implored Yudisthir to help rescue their husband. Bhim scoffed at the idea. Why should we help our enemy? However, Yudisthir, ever rational and stoic, recognized the importance of family. Duryodhan is our cousin and part of the Kuru dynasty. We cannot allow a family member to fall into enemy hands. Yudisthir's decision surprised his brothers, but Draupadi, moved by the plea of the distraught woman, insisted that they rescue Duryodhan. The Pandavas gathered their weapons and set off on a mission to rescue their cousin. With the assistance of Duryodhan's wives, they located the enemy camp and executed a surprise attack, overpowering the warriors. As the leader of the enemy army revealed himself, Arjuna gasped in astonishment. Chapter 38. The Abduction of Draupadi. In stark contrast to Duryodhan's ill-fated royal guard, the Pandava brothers proved to be vastly superior in strength and skill. They swiftly overwhelmed the enemy warriors. To Arjuna's surprise, the leader of the enemy army was none other than Chitrasena, the Gandhava, who had once been his music and dance teacher in the heavenly realms of Lord Indra. Young prince, Chitrasena praised, you have once again displayed valor and skill. My army ranks among the very best in the realms, yet you and your 4 brothers have defeated us in open combat. What is your desire? Arjuna responded, the prince you have captured is our cousin Duryodhan, a member of the Kuru clan. As such, we are duty-bound to protect all our citizens. Release him and his companions immediately, and you may go on your way. As you wish, dear prince, Chitrasena complied, freeing Duryodhan and his companions. Although Duryodhan was relieved to be rescued, the humiliation of being saved by the Pandavas only fueled his anger. Meanwhile, in the Pandava camp, Draupadi received an unexpected visitor. Jayadra, the husband of Duryodhan's sister, Dusashana, was on a journey through the forest and stopped by their dwelling to request some refreshments. When he saw Draupadi, he was overwhelmed by her beauty. Recognizing Jayadra as Dusashana's husband, Draupadi offered him refreshments. However, Jethra, consumed by lust, began to speak seductively. Why is such a beautiful woman living in such squalor? Your husbands are mere beggars. Come back with me to my palace, and I will treat you as a queen should be. Scoundrel, replied Draupadi, how dare you speak to me in such a manner? You are married to Duryodhana, who is like a sister to me. My husbands will be back soon, and they will make you pay for your insolence. But Jethra's lust had overcome his judgment, and he was determined to claim Draupadi for himself, even by force. He seized her arm and dragged her towards his chariot. Draupadi screamed for help, attracting the attention of a nearby Brahmin, who rushed to intervene. Meanwhile, the Pandava brothers had returned just in time to hear Draupadi's cries for help. In hot pursuit, the Pandavas chased after Jethra, whose chariot was fast but unfamiliar with the forest terrain. They intercepted him further along the path, where Nakula rescued Draupadi. Arjuna destroyed the chariot with his mighty arrows, and Bhima violently pulled Jethra from the wreckage. Jethra cowered in terror as he found himself surrounded by 5 powerful warriors and 1 furious queen. Chapter 39. The Final Years of Exile. Jethra begged for mercy from the Pandavas and Draupadi. Yudisthir, ever the benevolent king, mediated with Bhima and Draupadi, pleading for leniency for Dushala's husband. Jethra's life was spared, but not without consequence. Arjuna handed Bhima a blade from his quiver, and with it Bhima shaved off Jethra's hair, leaving 5 distinct tufts as a mark of his humiliation. Jethra departed with his life, but in his heart he carried a profound shame and a smouldering resentment. He retreated to the banks of the river Ganga, where he embarked on a journey of rigorous penance, seeking the means for his redemption from Lord Shiva. After an exceptional time in deep meditation, Lord Shiva, moved by Jethra's penance, appeared before him. What boon do you seek from me, Jethra? Asked Lord Shiva. I desire the power to defeat the Pandavas in battle, replied Jethra. Lord Shiva considered the request and responded, That is an impossible feat, for even the celestial beings have failed to conquer Arjuna in combat. However, in recognition of your dedicated penance, I grant you the ability to halt the advance of the other 4 Pandavas for a single day. With these words, Lord Shiva disappeared, leaving Jethra to return to his kingdom. Meanwhile, in Hastinapur, Duryodhan still grappled with the shame of being rescued by the Pandavas. His loyal friend Karna offered solace and vowed to personally kill the Prince Arjuna in battle. As part of his solemn oath, Karna pledged never to refuse a request from a Brahmin. During the final years of the Pandavas' exile, Duryodhan made more attempts to undermine their spirit. He guided a powerful sage and his group of more than 30 Brahmins to the Pandavas' dwelling. Duryodhan's plan was for the sage to request food for himself and his troop. And if the Pandavas were unable to provide, Duryodhan knew the sage would curse them, thereby further weakening his enemies. Duryodhan was unaware of the divine pot that provided the Pandavas with an endless supply of food, a gift from Lord Surya. But to his good fortune, on the day the sage and his group arrived at the Pandavas, Draupadi had already completed her meal. As per Lord Surya's condition, the pot would provide an abundance of food for the day until Draupadi had eaten her meal. Only then would the pot remain empty until the following day. Panicked, Draupadi rushed inside and fervently prayed to Lord Krishna for guidance. Appearing before her, Lord Krishna asked for the pot. Upon inspecting the pot's contents, he found a single grain of rice, which he consumed with a satisfied smile. Outside the dwelling, the sage and his troop experienced an unexpected sensation. Their stomachs became impossibly full. Embarrassed by their inability to partake of any food Draupadi would offer, they hastily departed. Chapter 40. Yudisthir's Test. In their last year in the forest, before they would need to go into a year of hiding, the Pandavas encountered a desperate Brahmin. A deer had entangled the Brahmin's prayer tools in his antlers and fled into the forest. The Brahmin implored the brothers to help him retrieve his implements. Yudisthir, along with Bhim, Arjuna, Nakula and Sahadev, embarked on a mission into the dense woods. While searching for the deer, they became exceedingly thirsty. Sahadev, perched in a tree, spotted a distant lake. Nakula set off to fetch water, leaving the others to continue the search. When Nakula didn't return after considerable time, Sahadev ventured out to find him. One by one, the brothers headed towards the lake, but none returned until only Yudisthir remained. When Yudisthir arrived at the lakeside, a heart-wrenching sight awaited him. His 4 brothers lay lifeless, their bodies unmarked, seemingly taken by mystical means. Heartbroken and overwhelmed by thirst, Yudisthir knelt by the water, ready to drink, when a mysterious voice intervened. "Stop. This lake is mine. If you wish to drink its water, you must first answer my questions." Before him, a yaksha, a supernatural being, materialized in the water. Yudisthir responded, "I understand. Please ask your questions, and I will do my best to answer them." "Who or what is man's greatest ally?" the yaksha questioned. "Patience," replied Yudisthir. "What is more fickle than the wind?" "The mind." "What is man's greatest enemy?" "Anger," replied Yudisthir. "Losing what makes one rich?" "Greed." "What is the greatest wonder of the living?" "The living frequently see people dying and find no one who has survived death, yet refuse to accept their own mortality." Impressed by Yudisthir's responses, the yaksha said, "As a reward, I will revive one of your brothers. Tell me which one I should bring back to life." "We 5 brothers are sons of Kunti and Madri. Out of Kunti's 3 sons, I happen to be alive, but Mother Madri's 2 sons, Nakula and Sahadev, lie dead. I request you to revive one of them, so that each of my mothers have a son remaining." The yaksha praised Yudisthir, saying, "You are indeed a virtuous king. You could have chosen the mighty Bhim, who vowed to break the thigh of Duryodhan, or Arjuna, the greatest warrior in all of the celestial realms, but you chose in accordance with Dharma." In response to Yudisthir's choice, the yaksha restored all of his brothers to life. As the yaksha's form dissolved, it revealed Lord Yama, the god of justice, who declared, "You are my spiritual son, Yudisthir, and I bestow upon you and your family the gift of remaining concealed during your final year of exile, where you must live in hiding within a city." Thank you for watching so far. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new here, please subscribe. This will ensure that more people can find this resource. Click the notification button so that you can be the first to know about new uploads. And please do comment below. I'll do my best to reply to any questions. Thank you.